You now move from understanding why the Essential 8 exists to understanding how it is meant to be applied in the real world. In the previous lecture, you learned that the Essential 8 is threat driven and focused on stopping real attacks. In this lecture, you take the next logical step, learning how organizations measure progress and manage risk over time using the Essential 8 maturity model. The maturity model exists because cybersecurity is not something you switch on overnight. Most organizations start from very different places. Some are just beginning their cybersecurity journey, while others already have strong controls in place. The maturity model gives you a structured, realistic way to improve security without expecting perfection from day one. It replaces vague ideas like "we are secure" with clear, observable levels of capability. The maturity model was defined by the Australian Cybersecurity Centre to help organizations understand how well they are implementing each of the Essential 8 strategies. It answers practical questions such as: are our controls consistently applied? Are they enforced technically? Do they work under real attack conditions? Without a maturity model, security discussions often become subjective. With it, you can have clear, evidence-based conversations. You should think of the maturity model as a ladder, not a pass or fail test. Each rung represents a stronger ability to resist cyber attacks. Moving up the ladder reduces risk, but it also requires more discipline, effort, and operational maturity. The goal is not to rush to the top, but to climb deliberately and intentionally based on your organization's risk profile. To make this practical, the maturity model defines 4 levels: maturity level 0 through maturity level 3. These levels apply separately to each of the 8 mitigation strategies. This is important. You may be strong in one area and weak in another. The model allows for that reality instead of forcing an unrealistic all or nothing result. At maturity level 0, you are either not implementing the control at all, or you are doing so in an inconsistent, informal way. Controls might exist on paper, or they may rely heavily on manual processes and individual effort. At this level, attackers can easily exploit gaps. This is where many organizations unknowingly operate, even though they believe they are doing security. When you move to maturity level 1, you begin to apply controls in a more structured way. Basic protections are in place and common attack techniques are addressed. However, enforcement may still depend on manual actions, user behavior, or limited tooling. You are reducing risk, but you are still vulnerable to determined attackers and human error. This level is often a realistic starting point for organizations beginning their Essential 8 journey. At maturity level 2, controls become consistently enforced and centrally managed. Security no longer depends on individual users doing the right thing. Technical controls are used to prevent unsafe behavior where possible. Attackers now face meaningful resistance. Many common attack paths are blocked, and the likelihood of widespread compromise drops significantly. For many organizations, this level represents a strong and sustainable security posture. Maturity level 3 represents the highest level of resilience. Controls are not only enforced but are also hardened against bypass techniques used by sophisticated attackers. Security is embedded into operational processes, and monitoring and recovery capabilities are mature. This level is designed to protect organizations that face highly targeted or persistent threats, such as critical infrastructure operators or national security environments. It is very important for you to understand that the maturity model is risk-based, not aspirational. The ACSC does not say that every organization must reach maturity level 3. Instead, the model recognizes that higher maturity brings higher cost, complexity, and operational overhead. Cybersecurity is about managing risk, not eliminating it entirely. This is where many organizations make mistakes. They assume that higher maturity is always better, without considering whether it is necessary. You need to balance security effort against business impact. If you are a small organization with limited exposure, forcing yourself to implement maturity level 3 across all controls may create more friction than value. The maturity model helps you avoid that trap by aligning effort with risk. You should ask yourself practical questions. What happens if we are breached? What data would be exposed? How long could we afford to be offline? Who would be affected? The answers to these questions help you decide which maturity level is appropriate, not marketing pressure or fear. Security that disrupts the business without proportional benefit is not effective security. Mapping maturity to business risk is one of the most powerful aspects of the Essential 8 model. Each increase in maturity directly reduces the likelihood or impact of specific attack scenarios. For example, improving maturity around patching reduces the chance of automated exploitation. Strengthening maturity around backups reduces the impact of ransomware. These improvements are not abstract. They translate into real reductions in downtime, data loss, and financial damage. For leaders and decision makers, this creates a clear story. Instead of saying, we need better security, you can say, moving from maturity level 1 to 2 reduces the likelihood of a successful ransomware attack by addressing known attack paths. This shifts conversations from fear-based arguments to risk-based decisions that make sense to the business. For technical teams, the maturity model provides direction and focus. It tells you what good looks like at each stage without overwhelming you with unrealistic expectations. It allows you to plan improvements incrementally and measure progress objectively. You are no longer guessing whether you are secure. You are demonstrating it through maturity. As you step back and reflect, you should now see how this lecture builds directly on the previous one. You started by understanding why the Essential 8 exists. Now you understand how it is applied gradually, deliberately, and in alignment with risk. The maturity model turns the Essential 8 from a list of controls into a roadmap for continuous improvement. In the next lecture, you will begin diving into the first mitigation strategy, application control. You will see how the maturity model applies in practice to a real control and how attackers are stopped when execution is properly restricted. This is where theory turns into hands-on practical defense.